Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we
Sure.
take the source material you send us, the articles, the research, all of it, and we distill it down to the most valuable and, I think, surprising nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're tearing apart this really fascinating idea. It's the secret to building trust, to unlocking creativity, and driving, really high-level leadership.
And there's a paradox right at the center of it all.
Exactly. The secret isn't about having all the answers. It's actually about asking profoundly better questions.
That's it. So for you, the learner, our mission today is a bit complex. We want to move way beyond just saying questions are good. We need to analyze why they matter more than just giving out answers.
And we have a framework for that.
We do a practical 5-step framework to really elevate your game immediately. And then there's a bonus question, sort of a secret weapon, that helps uncover hidden opportunities.
Okay, we have to anchor this in reality right away. This isn't just theory. Tony Robbins has a great quote on this. He says, "Successful people ask better questions, and as a result, they get better answers."
Right, and that might sound like a self-help line, but the evidence is everywhere, especially at the highest levels.
Where specifically?
It's validated at the absolute apex of tech. Look at Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA. This is a leader who Harvard, Fortune, Time Magazine, they've all hailed him as arguably the world's best CEO.
Right, for driving constant innovation in a field that changes, what, by the minute?
Exactly. And the sources are really clear on his method. He doesn't spend his days dictating strategy or just, giving out orders.
So what does he do?
He dedicates entire days, I mean, literally hours on end, to simply asking his team questions.
Wow.
And they aren't just casual questions. They're strategic, they're probing, they're about process and where things are going. His leadership is basically defined by inquiry, not instruction.
He's modeling curiosity.
The highest possible level of consequence.
Yes. Okay, so let's unpack this. Because most of us are not running multi-billion-dollar companies, but this is clearly being positioned as a critical life skill. Why should you, listening right now, prioritize this shift from being the answer provider to being the skilled inquirer? I think the core idea here is that great questions, they empower people, they force discovery.
How so?
Well, you instantly shift the dynamic. It's no longer a performance review where someone has to prove they have the right answer.
Right. It becomes collaborative.
It becomes a session where everyone in the room can actually uncover an insight they didn't even know they had.
And that all goes back to a fundamental human skill, curiosity. The sources had that wonderful personal note about the 5-year-old daughter.
Oh, I loved that anecdote. It was so relatable. It's this author watching his child who just has this endless, simple curiosity.
Asking those foundational questions we all stop asking.
Totally. Why is the sky blue, and how does this actually work?
It's a reminder that every adult was once a curiosity powerhouse. But somewhere along the way, we start to confuse competence with just knowing everything.
Yeah, we think being smart means having the answer ready.
When actually the greatest sign of intelligence is formulating the right question. If you aren't asking, you just aren't seeing new paths forward.
So for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I get it, curiosity is good, but how does this help me in a high-stakes professional environment? Let's synthesize the practical payoff.
We can break it down into 3 major areas that directly impact your success. First, questions build connection and trust.
Okay.
Genuine curiosity makes people feel valued. I mean, when you stop talking and truly listen and show it with a follow-up question, you're signaling respect. You're building psychological safety.
That's a huge point. Respect is signaled through attention. If you're not asking good questions, you're not really paying attention.
Exactly. The second benefit, it's a huge boost to innovation.
How does that work?
And instruction just reinforces the status quo. It keeps things the same. But a well-placed, thoughtful question, that disruptive what if, it forces people outside their established constraints.
That's where the new ideas come from.
That's where breakthrough thinking is sparked. It's so much more effective than trying to dictate creativity.
And the third benefit, which feels more important than ever.
Navigating complexity. Today's problems are so multi-layered. Questions are really the only tool you have to uncover those critical blind spots, to challenge the assumptions that might be sinking your project.
So that's like a diagnostic tool.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating here is how it changes you. The shift from being the answer person to the question person, it transforms you from a solitary decision maker into, well, a model of curiosity.
Modeling curiosity. I like that. I think that's the through line here. It connects the why to the how.
It does.
So now that we get the strategic importance, let's get into the practical side. We have this 5-step framework designed to take your question asking beyond just surface level chat.
Right. Think of it like a set of guardrails that make sure your curiosity is constructive and focused, not just, random.
Okay, step one is foundational, and I think it's the one people miss the most. Start with purpose. Yes, before you ask anything,
Yeah.
just pause and clarify your goal. Are you trying to solve a problem, build a connection, or are you trying to spark new ideas?
That intent, solve, connect, or spark, it's everything. If you're trying to solve something, your questions need to be about process. If you want to connect, they have to be genuine and personal.
And if you want to spark something new, they have to be abstract, future-focused. Your purpose dictates the entire structure.
It does.
Which brings us to step two. Ask open-ended questions. Now, we all know what these are. They're not yes-no questions. But the deep dive here is about forcing depth.
Right. It's about using the structure to get past a simple summary. So, for example, you wouldn't ask the closed question, did the project succeed?
Because the answer is just yes or no.
Exactly. It invites a one-word answer. It doesn't invite reflection.
So what's the better version?
The sources recommend replacing it with something like, what challenges did you face during the project, and how did you overcome them?
Ah, now you're forcing a narrative. You're making the team reflect on process, on resilience, on learning, not just giving a status update.
Which leads right into step 3, use follow-ups.
Yeah.
This is probably the most neglected step
Why do you think that is?
because it requires you to actually set aside your own agenda for a minute and listen. A follow-up shows you're processing the information, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
The magic of the follow-up is that it validates the other person. You're saying, I heard you, and I value that enough to dig deeper.
And it can be so simple. The best example is often just, can you tell me more about that?
That's it. That one little phrase, it draws out so much more nuance than the first answer ever could. Okay, let's talk about a tough one. Step 4, create safety. This is easy to say, but in a corporate world with tight budgets and deadlines, how do you do it? The instinct is to assign blame.
It is, and that's where the structure of your question is absolutely paramount. The key is to shift the language away from the past and towards future collective learning.
So away from blame.
Completely. If you ask the accusatory, why did this fail? You're just forcing the other person to get defensive. Honesty shuts down.
So what's the reframe?
You shift the inquiry from finding a culprit to defining a lesson. Instead of, why did this fail, you ask, what did we learn from this?
The we is important there.
We is critical. And how does this change our approach going forward? That small change immediately creates a zone of collaboration.
It's the difference between an interrogation and like a collaborative debrief. You're diffusing that negative energy.
You're maintaining trust even when things get tough.
Yeah.
And that leads to the final step, number 5, which is really the engine of innovation. Challenge assumptions.
This is where you deliberately go looking for trouble in a good way.
Yes, you use your questions to explore beyond the obvious, the things everyone just takes for granted.
So you're intentionally trying to disrupt the consensus. What does that sound like?
You use simple prompts. The sources highlight 2 really powerful phrases. What if and how might we?
Give me an example.
Okay, so if everyone agrees the current system is too slow, you don't ask, why is it slow? That's just problem solving.
Right.
You ask, what if we had infinite time and resources to fix this? How might we design the system completely from scratch?
Ah, okay. That forces your brain out of the immediate constraints, out of the budget meetings, and into pure possibility.
It instantly opens up the conversation. It bypasses the groupthink that holds back so many teams.
So if we pull all 5 of those steps together, purpose, open-ended follow-up, safety, and challenging assumptions, it's a huge shift.
It is. It fundamentally moves you from being an interrogator to being a collective problem solver. You're using curiosity as a tool for leadership.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
We have the framework. Now let's talk about that single powerful bonus insight, the one question you can start using today to cut through all the noise. The question is so elegantly simple. What's something we haven't considered yet?
And the power of that sentence is immense. It's basically a deliberate pause button.
When do you use it?
After all the data is on the table, after all the analysis is done, you deploy this question, and it forces everyone to step outside the immediate plan and look for the blind spots.
It's looking for the third path.
The third path, the hidden risk, the opportunity everyone missed because they were so focused on the agenda. It's the ultimate antidote to groupthink.
You're basically giving permission for the quiet person in the room to point out the elephant that nobody wants to talk about.
And very often, this is the question that saves a project. It uncovers that one assumption that if you'd left it unchallenged would have sunk the whole thing 6 months from now.
Okay, so like any skill, practice makes progress. And the source had a fantastic piece of advice for this. We want to challenge you, listening now, to try this.
Think of a recent conversation, a meeting, a debate, whatever, where you felt stuck or uninspired.
And now physically write down 5 questions you could have asked in that moment. They have to be curious, open-ended, or specific follow-ups.
Don't just think them, actually write them down.
And here's the most important part. Use them. Use them in your next conversation, whether it's a quick call or a formal meeting. The goal is to make asking a better question a reflexive habit.
And that connects right back to the main theme. This practice is how you model curiosity, which we've established is just the core of effective modern leadership.
You're setting the standard. Inquiry is more valuable than declaration.
Precisely.
All right, so a quick recap of our deep dive. We've established that leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about modeling curiosity, building trust, and unlocking creativity by asking better questions. It's a fundamental skill.
And if this topic has sparked your curiosity, and we really hope it has, we've curated 3 resources from the material for you to continue your own deep dive.
What have we got?
First, a really practical guide. The book, The Coaching Habit. Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever by Michael Bungay Stanier. Okay. Second, for a broader context, there's a great compilation video on YouTube called The Art of Asking the Right Questions. It features thinkers like Tim Ferriss and Warren Berger.
And third,
If you want to formalize it, there's an online course from ASU called Curiosity, a necessary ingredient for successful innovation.
perfect. So those resources will help you keep these skills sharp.
Definitely.
We'll leave you with this final provocative thought drawn directly from the sources we analyzed. Reflect on everything we've talked about and consider this question. What is the best question someone has ever asked you? And how did that single question fundamentally change your perspective on your life or your work?
Something powerful to mull over.
Until our next deep dive.